to Yes Bank Maximum, the first of this contest. Oh, that is brilliant. It's a Hero Maximum. On the ground, down the ground, another Hero Maximum.
Right, welcome back to the Maximum Cricket Podcast, episode 38. My name is Munter. We are joined by Jacko and Lugsy here this week. We have a fantastic lineup for you. We are talking India, Australia. How close will the series be? And will India run right as per? We are wrapping up the white ball season with a quick one-day power rankings. How many teams can actually win this World Cup? It's also finals time in the Super Smash. Canterbury, Otago or Northern, what's your pick? And of course, the snack draft is back. But first, everyone wants to know, Jacko, the train rolls on for Burnside.
Yeah. Boys win again. Good to be a part of. Good to see. So, yeah, I think we're coming up on 15 wins in a row. So,
wow, that's not nothing.
Yeah. It's not nothing. So, yeah, we're actually going to tank next week, just get the slip up out of the way. And, yeah, don't let it come up in finals time. But no, in all seriousness, boys played well. So, another good week. Just keep getting better and, yeah, hope for the best come finals time.
To use Jacko, so obviously, we still don't do that down here, Munter, do we? We don't do finals, do we?
No, we haven't done finals for years. Like, yep. I don't remember finals at all. Like, we should do it. Like, finals day is a great occasion.
Yeah, you'd think you'd get the get a bit of support. Hopefully, get it out to the clubs and get everyone else out there. Is there much support there, Jacko, for finals day in your area? Or?
Yeah, I think like the day of the final, everyone sort of realises like sort of haven't seen my partner on a Saturday for X amount of weeks, and this is sort of the reason why. So yeah, you do tend to get a few people down. You probably normally get about 100 on the day. So.
Nice.
Sort of give or take throughout the day, which is nice. So, yeah, it's a good event and sort of a standalone cricket. So, yeah, a lot of the time, sort of people just pop in to see what's going on. So, yeah, makes a good day of it.
Yeah, one of the tough times for the single guys in the team when they realise like these sad days with all the boys are over.
Yeah,
partying stops for 6 months.
Beautiful. Right, we'll crack into it. We'll like there's been a bit of a calm before the storm, I guess, this week is, we're a few days out from a massive test series between Aussie and India. But I thought before we talk about that, let's put a bow on the white ball cricket that's been on as of late. New Zealand and Pakistan and India, England travelled to South Africa. We thought being a World Cup year, let's just take a bit of stock of the form one-day teams as of now. Going to do a quick power rankings, but I'm only going to rank the teams that actually have a chance of winning the World Cup. So no West Indies, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and the associates. That's just for now. Like these, that can change.
It feels like we're setting ourselves up. Yeah.
Well, like I think Sri Lanka potentially, like they've got some series coming up. I know they're coming over here. If they tip us up, they can put their name in the lights for sure. But as of now, I don't really feel the need to just talk about the chances of Bangladesh winning a World Cup. I need to see a bit more.
A low chance now.
Yeah, very low, very low. So I've got 6 teams here. Okay, I'm going to do 5 and 6 together. I think that's like my bottom tier at the moment. I'll call them like outside chances. Both teams have world-class talent, but they've also got a lot of holes and lack a little bit of X factor. New Zealand at 5th, Pakistan at 6th. Before I get into there, this is no easy way of doing a segue to this, except for I'm talking about Pakistan, so I'm going to bring them up right now. Out or not out? Quick return. Pakistan apparently got a new coach. Heavily rumoured with hiring Mickey Arthur as the new head coach, except there's a bit of an issue with that. He's actually also coaching Derbyshire at the same time, so which is a contract that runs till 2025. However, the PCB, they like doing things a little outside the box, so they're set to hire an online head coach, apparently. I don't know how it's going to work, but fellas, just real quick, out or not out?
Out. You can't run that, surely. You just can't. Like, your coach has got to be there in person. Like, what, is he just texting players when they're dropped and whatnot? Like, yeah.
It's not an easier way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it saves face for him a lot of the time.
Isn't it?
Yeah. just a wee email. Unlucky, mate. Love what you're doing. See you next week. No, got to be out on it.
He just ghosts them. He just stops talking to them, and then they have to eventually figure out that they're not in the team.
Yeah, sort of that they're checking cricket info 30 minutes before the toss as well to see if they've been named in the 11. So no, very out on it. Like the nature of cricket, you've got to be there. So I think the nature of all coaching, in fact, you need to be there. So yeah, very out.
Yeah, I mean, I read a few articles, and it seems like he is going to be there for the World Cup, from what I can see. But and then for now, he'll just be communicating online or however they're going to do it. So it still seems very bizarre, but I think there was some times where he is going to be with the team. I think a lot of the older Pakistan players were fairly upset by it all and just sort of can't believe this is their best option. Like, there's no coaches elsewhere as good as him that he's so good he can do it online. So I think there's a bit of disappointment from the former Pakistan players and what's going to happen, but there's probably someone out there that knows sort of the setup a bit better than I, because I do believe he is going to be there in person for some of them, but even that seems wild. It's very 2023, isn't it? He's sort of looked around and said, see, everyone's sort of just working from home now, so I can't sort of work it out.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I guess considering it's pretty tough to be a man manager without actually being in person. Yeah, I don't know. It's a strange one. It sounds like Pakistan really wanted Mickey Arthur, and he said, "Well, I'm contracted by Derbyshire. I'm going to just focus on this." And they've gone, "No, we really want you. You can do both." And it's just there's nothing against Mickey Arthur. I'm sure he's a good coach. He's done a lot of teams now. He's done basically every team except New Zealand, I think. But he seems like a strange person to just bend over backwards to get.
That's what I saw from the articles. It was really Pakistan pushing for this as well. That was what seemed strange, is he was sort of saying no, I've got this other deal, and they were saying we're going to make this work.
Yeah, so he's trying to let them down gently, and they'll just run with it.
Yeah. He sort of rejected them, and they've just gone, no thanks, we're not accepting that. You will be having the job, and we'll just figure it out.
Yeah, okay. All right, fair enough. So they're sixth. So I've got them as low as six. I've got them just behind New Zealand because obviously we just bet them in Pakistan, so that's got to count for something. But they've got the best batsman in the world, a world-class bowling attack, but they've just got a lot of holes in their batting lineup, similar to New Zealand. How do you guys see that? Do you think that's where New Zealand and Pakistan land, boys?
Yeah, I think definitely Pakistan at 6. I think the T20 World Cup showed their how they just don't have the batters. Their batting is so fragile outside of sort of Babar and Rizwan. And when you extrapolate that over 50 overs, I just don't think they're going to quite have it. So yeah, like them at 6, and I think New Zealand at 5. There's a bit of uncertainty with the New Zealand team.
It's that batting for me at the minute.
Yeah, it's just we're probably 2 or 3 batting spots where we're just a bit unsure. So yeah, New Zealand at 5. But I mean, if we get in the dance, it will be the team no one wants to play.
Yeah, and that's sort of why they've got to be a chance, because I think, like Jackie, you said last week, we know how to play tournament footy. We'll definitely, we won't really make too many mistakes at a World Cup, so we've got to be in the mix. But I just can't see us winning it, especially because it's in India right now.
Yeah, so I was just thinking, I think, obviously in the right sort of posse and probably well suited to be grouped together there. Because other teams, you sort of think they'll have to both play really good, consistent cricket, and maybe a couple of things just go their way to win this tournament. Whereas with some of the bigger guns, you think they're with their batting power, especially India, obviously, it's they might not have to be at their best to win some of these games. One player will just blast 150 and they'll win the odd game just on that. Whereas your Pakistan and New Zealand, you think their best players are going to have to sort of perform most of the tournament. The odd thing goes their way, and then we can sneak into that semi-final, final.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And we'll move on to our next tier. I've got two more teams in the middle, 3 and 4. I'm calling them sort of fake contenders, teams that look good, their form's good, but I don't trust them. Aussie at 4, South Africa at 3. You could convince me that it should be the other way around, but I'm going to give South Africa. They did just win a series, so I'll give them their flowers. I'll start with Australia. They've won their last 6 ODIs against England, but they were hungover. New Zealand ones were on shit pitches, so it doesn't count. They're binning off those ODIs against Afghanistan in March, which means they're not going to play any one-dayers until they go to South Africa in September, and then it's the World Cup. It's not ideal. South Africa, they just beat England in a series. They've got a bowling attack of Rabada, Nortjes, Ngidi, Janssen. Their batting actually looks quite strong. They've got Rassie averaging over 70, David Miller, he's one of the best 5s in the world. Bavuma's even getting runs. However, we can't ignore the fact that South Africa have to go through qualification. They're actually not qualifying, which is quite crazy. They forfeited one-dayers. They lost to Bangladesh last year at home. And then even if they get to the World Cup and their form's good, they choke. And I can't get past that. So, boys, what do you make of these two?
Yeah, I think South Africa feel like Pakistan with less batting questions. Like there's still a few. There's still a few there out of that T20 World Cup. They've got a bit more of a fleshed out order, but I still just don't see them scoring the runs when it matters. Their bowling attack is just the same boat as Pakistan's, if not better. But yeah, that question mark will remain over the runs. And then, Aussie at 3 or 4, I don't hate it. The top 2 are clear, so you've got to put Aussie and South Africa somewhere, and I'll probably have Aussie at 3 maybe because I just feel like they're like a tournament team as well. They've won so many World Cups. The last one they won, everyone was like, this Aussie team might be the worst sort of a team established for a tournament, and then they just got in a run and beat us in the final. So like they're just always going to be sniffing about. And as you said, South Africa, they've never played in a semi-final, I don't think, or final.
No, they haven't played a final. Yeah,
they've never played in the final. They've lost every semi-final under the sun. So yeah, you can't put them out of your top into your top 2 until they prove they can get to the last 2.
Yeah, there's obviously there's sort of not a lot to add there. It's quite funny they're grouped together because they're probably polar opposites when it comes to these tournaments. Like, if there's a team I do trust to get their shit together and just perform when it matters, it's Australia. And India, obviously, I have a little more doubt about Australia. Yeah, South Africa, obviously, pretty impressive series victory for how much whatever it matters. Against England, so that's not nothing. Getting a series win over them, give them a bit of confidence, and you can't write them off at all. When the team can score 300 and have their bowling attack, if a few things go right for them, I mean, you can't write them off. But it's a hard. How many times do we have to see them fail at World Cups before you start to think, yeah, okay, they're probably not going to get it together here.
Oh, they're due.
Overdue, some would say. But yeah, so I sort of think, there's a clear top 2, and then those next 4, I mean, you could honestly kind of group them all together. I think Australia's, in certain conditions, Australia would stand out from the others, but in India, I think it brings those 4 teams all pretty similar together.
Yeah, 100%. And I might as well, I'll go, the next 2, I'm actually going to put them in different brackets, so their own bracket each. So I'll start with England, who are by themselves at the moment. I'm going to call them sort of like playoff England, just because they're not really giving a shit about bilateral stuff. So, like, obviously, they're the opposite of Australia, South Africa. Their form's shit. They haven't won an ODI series against a full member nation since 2021, and yet they're the current 50 over and T20 champions. I mean, that's got to mean something. Like, they'll turn it up when it matters. It's like the latest series they'd lost against South Africa, but somehow it's like things are good though. Like Josh Buttler looks like the best player in the world. David Milan is averaging fucking God knows God knows. Joffre Archer is back, and Jason Roy even made a ton. They've got Joe Root, Johnny Bairstow to come back. They average almost 50. I can't have them anywhere near India at the moment, but it's just like England. I still have them ahead of the rest of the pack, even though their form's not great.
I mean, we love a ball analogy. They feel like LeBron's sort of teams LeBron's been on for the last 10 years in the NBA. They don't care what seed they are. They don't care how they play in the regular season, because like LeBron knows when it's time to play, like he's going to step it up and they're just going to be fucking good. And it just feels like they sort of aren't too phased. They're like, oh, well, like, as you said, we've got some of the best players in the world in this team. And like we just know once it's time to like switch in and focus, nothing else matters. We're champs in 2 formats for a reason. And yeah, as you said, they will just kick on and rightfully at 2.
Yeah, I think it's kind of what sucks about these like series now, is it's like teams sort of to go into them, and I mean obviously winning's still hugely important for them, but it's more like, well, let's just make sure we don't get beat 3-0. Let's still win a game, so we've still got some winning feeling in the camp, and then let's actually just like make sure our players are in form. Like it's like winning's not as important as making sure each player is getting something out of the 3 games. Like if you can come alongside, we've got Archer back now. He's bowled some overs. He's got a 6 he's feeling good. Did every batter get a score of 50 or over? Did we get some experience chasing 300? Like if you can get a few things out of these series and you almost finish it and just go, well, we lost 2-1, but we've got a lot out of that. And when it comes to a tournament, we're still confident we'll win it. So it's sort of, I think they'll look at that, as you say, that South Africa series and be like, well, we ticked a lot of boxes there. We didn't win the series, but a lot of our guys seem like they're in form. We've got Archer back, which is one of the main thing, like a huge weapon. So we've got enough out of that.
Yeah, I like that from both of you boys, actually. Yeah, you're right, Lugsy. If you kind of want as little question marks after a series, you want everyone to just do something so that the media's not on their back. So you've got you've ticked all these boxes, and then you can just move on. Like, the results don't seem to matter as much as they used to. And also, I love that from Jacko with England being sort of playoff LeBron, and they would almost be like if they're the 2016 Cavs. I've actually got India here. I've actually got brackets. I've got India 73 and 9 Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Number 1 seed, favourite by a long way. Their form is remarkable. Their team is like so good. They haven't lost an ODI series at home since 2019, and that's where the World Cup is. Like me and Jacko were saying on last year's pod or whatever, that India just seemed destined to win the World Cup in India. However, the reason I've got them as a 73 and 9 Warriors is greatest regular season team ever. Very similar to India's form on bilaterals. Both teams stumbled at the final hurdle.
Yeah.
Boys, favourites, but we still question marking them?
Maybe. I mean, it's just tournament cricket, and it's just so hard and so hard to pick it this far out. And I mean, as you said, they look like the best team on paper. They're in their home conditions. Everything sort of is tracking for them to sort of win this World Cup in a canter. But one thing we know weirdly about Indian tournament cricket especially is they just sometimes, like, it just doesn't work how it's supposed to for them. Like they've had some big World Cup droughts. They've done their time of being like, what is going on? Why haven't we got across the line here? So yeah, all the stars seem to be aligning, but as you said, is the slip up going to come, and is it LeBron's Cavs?
Yeah, I mean, if we were all punting men, and we are, even though we may not punt a lot of money, Matthew, $5 on. No one, I don't think, is going to punt against India. But of course, in any tournament, you can't be so confident inside, because, like, if they were playing each team in a series, I'm confident they would beat everyone 4-1, 3-2, 5-0.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. But if they play a semi-final or a final, there's every chance you can get beaten by a side on a day, especially in today's cricket where so many batsmen can just score 100 off 50 and just take a game away. and maybe India don't even do much wrong. But yeah, I mean, I know you've always talked about it, but like those T20s against us was just insane. The one days, sorry, where you're like, they're just going to score 350 every innings. Like it seems inevitable. And like on that note, sort of, I think, you just get these moments in time in sport, like sort of Messi in this World Cup. It just seems like India is so set to win this World Cup, as you talked about. It's going to be Kohli on the shoulders, Gill probably lifting him up, and the future sort of takes off. So it just seems written for India at the moment, but we'll have some twists and turns, I'm sure, on the way there.
It just for me, it just depends if India can unleash the shackles, and if they can play. I think, like you said, Lugsy, if it's a bilateral series or it's any sort of series, I think their class will overpower every team. And I think since they're at home, I could say as of now, I feel pretty confident they would beat every team except England. I'm not as confident. I think England they are so good, and if you're going to beat England, you've got to be at your best, and I don't think you can limp past them. And if India if they freeze and they don't sort of put the hammer down like they do in bilaterals, and really like just punish bowlers and really just sort of like when they're on top in the field, they go for the kill. If they can't do that, I think England will win, but it just depends on if we can get the best version of India and knock out footy.
You can't underestimate how, like, I know they play in front of it all the time, but their fan base is just going to be absolutely insane for this World Cup.
Yeah, massive.
And Kohli's and that are gonna handle it, but it's still, they're all still humans, and they're gonna feel that pressure at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, that stadium that fits like well over 100,000 people. Like, no cricketer really has that often where there's 100,000 people screaming your name, sort of like baying for you to do well. So
they're going to find a way to fit in 150,000 there as well, no doubt.
Oh yeah, capacity's 100, but there'll be 150 min, especially if they play Pakistan. Holy, that would be like, if that can happen, that might be one of the biggest, like, best sporting events to go to of all time, I reckon.
Is the draw out yet? Have they miraculously found themselves playing each other game one again? Or
you would believe they're in the same pool for the 12th time in a row. It's funny, they won't go to each other's countries, but for like anything else, but like they'll play each other in a World Cup.
Oh yeah, that's going to be absolute box office.
Yeah, they are guaranteed to play Narendra Modi Stadium game 1. 132,000 people there.
64K.
Oh, yeah.
Capacity of 132,000. Like, that is outrageous.
I tell you what, and there's probably another 200,000 that missed out on tickets.
Yeah. How are we tracking, Munter? Are we going to make that game, or?
We'll probably need a couple.
Just
a couple more patrons. Just a couple. If people just want to just sort of help the boys, that'd be much appreciated. Couple sponsors, sort of thing, and we'll really crack into it.
Simmons got back to us about the Ringer deal, because I heard we were very close.
Well, I did mention to him that Major League Cricket is starting up in the US soon, and if you wanted someone that's well versed in the Ringer-verse culture, and knows a little bit about Gurk, more about snacks, where your guys.
Wouldn't it be great if, like, the top 95 cricket podcasts are all just under these random contracts, so we just slip in uncontracted straight in?
Yeah.
Like, they're not the best, but they're the only one not under contract, and we've got them.
But they're the only ones we can get in for this, so they've got the gig.
It'd be tough. Like once, like Simmons asked for your email, Lugsy. I'm just going to flick you an email. Yeah. Oh, sorry, mate.
We've just got to get you to sign this contract, mate. Like, we'll just email that to you, and you can figure it out.
Simmons tries to send me to a big game. I'm just out on a bender. Yeah, sorry, it's not going to work.
I'm stuck in Moscow, actually. All right, should we crack on to the series, this India-Australia series? It's going to be massive. February the 9th, 3 days from now, Australia travelling to India for 4 massive tests. And even though they haven't won a series in India since 2004, and India haven't lost a series against any side since England beat them in 2012, there's a sense of optimism from Australia that this could be the year. And I think it's due to just having so many players in form. So we thought, we'll go through a potential combined 11 for the game that's in India. And it is actually closer than I thought it would be, because I thought it would be India just dominating. But boys, what are you most looking forward to about the series?
The biggest thing for me is probably to see how the Aussies batting stands up. I saw something the other day that, like, I think it's apart from Steve Smith and David Warner, I don't think anyone in the top 7 or 8 has batted in India in a test match. So, I mean, everything can prepare you for India, but nothing like actually have done it before. So, it's just going to be how India's batting, how Aussie's batting holds up, and probably interesting to see the Aussie second spinner, see who that's going to be, and see sort of how effective they can be as well. So we sort of know what we'll get within the Indian side, so it's going to be interesting to see those two sort of caveats for Aussie.
Yeah, very exciting series, and just quietly for the Kiwis, not a bad start time. I think it's 5 o'clock Thursday. That's very good viewing for us. It's one of those series. India in more recent years, India actually going to Australia has been amazing viewing. But back sort of when I was a nipper, one of the obviously first big standout tests I remember is when Aussie famously declared, and then VVS went in and batted and got 274, I believe, from memory, and sort of that completely changed cricket. That's one of the first games where, because everyone used to follow on, and that was just one of the first games Aussie enforced to follow on, and India batted all day, ended up winning the test by a mile. And it sort of completely changed everyone to decide, like, the follow-on was basically never going to be enforced going forward, just because India scared everyone so much. It's just a series of great history, India going to Aussie. Aussie going to India. I think, Jacko said it best. I think there's probably a bit more intrigue about Australia. I'm sort of interested to see how their bowling stacks up. Like, it's obviously a world-class attack. If they can't make inroads early, it's sort of, you worry a wee bit about them. They might be in the field for a couple of long days, but their bowlers will charge in, and then obviously Lyon will play, I think, and do quite a bit of work, and then their next spinner will be interesting, because that's when it gets tough. If you haven't taken a wicket in a while over there, and India's batting starting to go all right, that's when that series gets very tough.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, the batting and the spinners is probably going to be the key. Like I've got for my openers, I've got Rohit Sharma and I've got Usman Khawaja. But
has he found himself over there? Has he?
Yeah, he's made it there eventually. He's obviously was struggling to get a visa. And unrelated, he is a Pakistani born, I believe. So
still got a Pakistani passport, I believe.
Yeah.
To mess with a test match, obviously you've got the making the pitch a bit more in your favour. Would you say sort of not giving someone a visa, that's probably ranks a bit higher in what you can do to affect the test?
Yeah, it's funny. There's no issues with David Warner's visa. They actually fast tracked it just with his form.
Harris, Hanscom, and Warner, all their visa came back like within an hour. And
that's quite weird. Pat Cummins was struggling there for a bit, I believe. So.
Yeah, I heard the guy that found Steve Smith's application just like put his passport in the shredder on accident.
We all make mistakes.
Yeah, sorry, mate. The only other thing I'll add, I'm quite intrigued to see if Sky plays.
Shreyas Iyer is ruled out for that first test, so they'll need a new 5. So it's potentially looking like Sky could debut at 5, which is interesting.
Sort of with your sorry, I know you've just with that combined opening 2. Who's going to open for India, do you think? Sharma, obviously.
Sharma and Gill, would you say?
Well, that's what you'd think. Gill's the hot hand, but you've got to remember that Rahul's the vice captain.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting, unless they want to Yeah, so there's a potential that Shin McGill could come into the middle order. If he is like the most formed player in the world right now. So you almost want to like just get him going, but then again, so is Sky. So
I sort of think more. I think they could go back to sort of having Rahul in the middle. I think that's an option, and like Gill, younger player, obviously, just maybe a bit more comfortable to start doing the job opening what he's been doing.
Yeah, you're probably like you're either opening Rahul and giving Sky his debut, or you're sort of batting Shubman at 1 and letting KL bat at 5. And then you've got Pujara and Kohli, don't you? So
it's still a pretty loaded batting lineup, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's a great option to have either of those as your like backup to a guy being injured, isn't it?
Well, I mean, and then they've got their middle order, they've got like Pujara, Kohli, like I said, they've got Sky. I think obviously they're going to miss like Rishabh Pant, who was probably their best batter for 2022, and the best keeper batter in the world. So, and I think Ishaq Kishan's probably going to come in, and he'll be on debut. So it's not looking as strong as it normally does, just because and to be fair, they always play on like minefields, so that's tough. And you compare that to Australia. Marnus, Steve Smith, Travis Head, they're all in the top 10 test batters in the world. But it's in India, and Travis Head hasn't been known to play spin well at all. Marnus has obviously never been to India. Steve Smith's the only one where he averages like 60 odd in India. He's been there before. He's scored runs there before. He's probably going to do the job.
He's probably not going to sleep for the next month, but yeah, somehow he's still going to produce runs, I'm sure. It's pretty crucial, I think, a guy like him does score runs, just even for the smallest matter of being out there. Like spending time in the middle with these guys that are a bit less experienced over there, just to have him at one end. Because I'm sure like those conditions are going to be pretty brutal. And just to have him out there sort of slowing the game down, maybe talking guys through a bit early on is going to be pretty crucial.
Yeah, if he can be out there when guys are starting, and he can sort of guide them through what they're going to need to do to sort of get themselves started and adjust to the wicket and stuff. So, yeah, Steve Smith be a huge key for their batting side.
Who have you gone? 3, 4, 5?
So obviously, yeah, I've gone like Steve Smith. We'll lock him in at 4. He's first pick. And then I've got Marnus versus Pujara. I feel like there's an argument either way, but I think I'm just going to give it to Marnus because he is the number 1 player in the world. So it's got to count for something, even though it's in India and might not matter much. And then you got Kohli versus Travis Head, and it's like I just feel like Kohli's heading in the right direction. Like I feel like he's ticked off the T20 100, he's ticked off the ODI 100. It's only a matter of time before you get a Test 100, and I'm just not sold on Travis Head just yet that he can play spin. So I'm going to go Kohli. So I'm going to go Marnus, Steve Smith, Kohli. Yeah,
I mean, that's a hell of a top. Oh, that's a hell of a 3, 4, 5. And as you said, Kohli is just sort of rounding back into like the Kohli of old. He's sort of not captaining now, but he will be fucking right up for this series. Like some of his all-time moments as a cricketer are Test match hundreds against Australia. So I can't imagine this series being any different. So he's going to bat unbelievably well for the whole series, I think.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Travis Head, but just at this stage, I can't put him ahead of Kohli in India. You sort of, with some of these guys, they go in the wrong direction, and you give them a bit of leeway, and they do sort of never get it back. But I think I'm still at the stage where I'm still willing to trust Kohli to get it back and to have a big series. As you say, he loves playing against Australia. I do hope, I hope Travis Head goes well because he's had a sensational return to the team. So this would be massive for him to have a big series over there.
I think if he pumps it, I think he's got a chance. I think if he tries to bat like a normal Test cricketer, I think he's going to get found out technically against spin. But I think if it's a dust bowl and it's like a shootout, like you're going to get bowled out no matter what, and he comes in and he's just pumping it like he has been, he's a chance to just really like ruffle some feathers and get a few quick 50s could be as good as hundreds, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Like the way he batted in that game against South Africa when it was seaming around everywhere, and he just like got that runnable 90, like changed the game. Like he was the difference. So yeah, he tough to miss out in the combined 11, like the prestigious Maximum Cricket combined 11. But yeah,
he's going to put this on his wall. He's going to put this in his hotel room, and just as motivation.
Yeah, we're giving him some bulletin board material, and when he collects that Man of the Series trophy, we'll just have a little chunk of the check. Thanks, Travis, and get him on the pod.
I think the point you made at the start's a good one though about a lot of guys being in form. It's a lot easier for Travis Head to trust his game at the moment and decide like, if in doubt, I'm going to go for it, coming off the back of runs. There's a bit of security in his spot at the moment. So having guys in form, if it is going to be dicey and they've got a bit more trust in themselves that I can have a go here, there's a lot more freedom in that. So that's exciting for him.
It's probably fair to say he could miss out 8 times in a row and his place is still probably secure. They're probably just going to be like, well, he just can't play spin, but he's still a good player.
Yeah. Well, and that there is a bit of obviously there's a lot of freedom in being a batsman on a bad deck and sort of seeing it crumbling around you and going, right, I'm having a go here. Like there's nothing you can do out there. Like you've got to like if your technique isn't 100%, then sometimes your best option is to just have a go on some of these decks.
And even if your technique is 100%, that can be your downfall on some of these fucking bunts and burners. Because you're sort of trying to play everything really correctly, and you just get one you can't do anything with in a standard way, and you're cooked and your day's done.
Definitely. Well, I've got next the keeper and the all-rounder. I think is pretty easy. Like I said, it would have been panned if he was available. So we're going to go Carey, and then the all-rounder like Cam Green versus Jadeja. I think because it's in India, it has to be Jadeja. If it wasn't, if this is in England, it's the World Test Championship final. I'm probably taking Cam Green, but I think those two are pretty fair enough. Carey and Jadeja, you happy with?
Yeah, definitely. I think it would be Pant. He's obviously recovering. Kishan has made some sort of memorable white ball cricket knocks recently. But yeah, the test level comes down to like proven players and proven glove men at test level, and I think Carey's just starting to sort of creep his way into the top level of test keepers. So that's probably a pretty easy one. And then Cam Green. The only argument I'd make to put Cam Green is probably going to depend on what your bowling lineup looks like.
I
don't mind that
we'll hold that then.
Yeah, you could play 3 spinners, Pat Cummins and Cam Green as your combined 11 if you felt like it. But if you're going to go 2 genuine seamers, 2 genuine spinners, you're probably going Jadeja to give you that extra option. So that would be the only argument to put Green in there. But nah, Jadeja in India, definitely the better player.
Australia might actually they might actually do what you just said. They might actually play Cam Green as their extra seamer.
Yeah.
I like how Munter you've sort of gone to Jacko like, it's a good point. I haven't done it, but that's a good point. It won't be the same, but it's certainly not what we're doing, but it is a good point. The tiebreaker in a lot of these, isn't it, is just the venue. Like if it's close, you're going to lean the Indian player, aren't you?
Like that's the same. Like when we bring up like the spinners. Like I've gone for 2 more spinners. Australia's got Lyon, Swepson, Murphy, Ashton Agar versus we've already picked Jadeja, Ashwin, Axar Patel. I mean, obviously we're going to rule out Murphy, Swepson, and Agar. I think that's pretty fair. I mean, that's probably. I mean, to be fair, that's probably the difference in the series right there. Like, Australia just don't have. Like, Lyon is very good. He's one of the best in the world, and I'm sure he'll have a good series. But they don't really have another spinner to back him up. Whereas Ashwin, Jadeja is world class on his own, and he's an all rounder. Ashwin, I mean, he's the best spinner in the world. He's better than Lyon. And then you got Axar Patel, averages 10 with the ball. So, I mean, Lyon's record in India is okay. He averages about 30. But I'm just going to go an all Indian 3 spinners. Let's pick the best spinners. The best spinners in India, Jadeja, Ashwin, and Axar Patel.
Yeah.
Give me some darts.
Well, righto, mate. You're going to spark up, are you? Vape's going no good for you. Give me an acoustic.
XR darts coming out soon.
No, bloody good. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's the Aussie trio of backup spinners are irrelevant compared to this Indian spin attack. So yeah, I'd agree with you 100%. And then yeah, we probably got Cummins and Stark as your seamers potentially.
Well, I had Stark, and then I looked up like how they actually did in India, and Stark averages 50 in India.
Yeah.
So I'm going to rule him out. I'm going to bring in Mohammed Shami, who averages 20 at home. But you've also got like the seamers are actually pretty sharp. Like you got Hazelwood, you've got Mohammed Siraj, you got Umesh Yadav, Boland, Scotty Boland. I don't know what he's going to be like over there, but there's a good chance he plays. I think by all accounts.
Especially with Hazelwood injured.
Yeah,
out game one, isn't he?
So if Hazelwood, Stark, and Cam Green are probably due to miss the first test.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting for the bowling stocks.
It's going to be a lot of pressure on there. Like, who do you think is going to be their second spinner for Australia? Or are they going to potentially go three? Because it's going to be a lot of workload on these bowlers. Scotty Boland and Cummins are going to have to do a lot of work.
Yeah, they'll probably have to go Boland, Cummins, Swepson, Lyon, Agar, and bet Agar at 7, I imagine.
That's rough. Because I was thinking, it's almost like their spinners aren't good enough to pick 3 of them.
Nah.
Like you've almost got to stick to your strengths, which is your seam, and just like
and your betting,
just back it, and like go Lyon, and I think go Lyon, go Agar, because they like. It's not like Agar's great, like he's a decent wide ball cricketer, but there's something about orthodox bowling or darts that does well in India.
Yeah,
like you need to bowl quick into the wicket rather than sort of like, because even Shane Warne didn't really have a good record in India.
And I think as well, like really, if you want some leg spin overs, like are you going to give it like pick Swepson to only play as a leggy, and then if he doesn't go well, you've lost a complete spot, or do you just throw Marnus or Steve Smith the ball? And if it's absolutely doing pieces, it's like, well, okay, like they're going to do a job, hopefully get 1 or 2, and then it's on Lyon to take sort of 4 and 5 wickets, and Cummins to do the rest. So yeah, they probably will only go Agar and Lyon, and then yeah, Cummins, Boland, maybe pick the extra batter. Who knows?
It is a tough one, because it's almost like if you pick 3 spinners, you're picking one to do a lot of the work, and then those second 2 are going to have to just combine sort of to be one, to get one, good spinning option. But they're just going to have to do a bit of work each, and sort of maybe the guy that's just bowling the best does a lot more, because it just feels like one of them at least, they probably all are, but one's going to get targeted. It's just going to be a hard road for them trying to take 20 wickets over there. I mean, the pitches probably will give them as much assistance as possible, so it'll help. But I still just think those Indian batters, they play spin well. This is like, you can't they'll put out a dust bowl, and obviously it'll look good, and you'll be tempted to play these spinners. But India play them so well. You've got to be still right on your game.
Okay, righto, boys. Let's do a round-up of the Super Smash here in New Zealand as it's finals time. Canterbury beating Otago by 8 wickets very comfortably in the last round-robin game today. This gives them a home final on Saturday against the winner of Otago and Northern on Thursday. Northern, of course, beat Central the other night in a virtual quarter-final, while Auckland and Wellington brought up the rear in what was a pretty disappointing season for both those sides. I've got a team of the tournament here to run through, but before I do, Jacko, should we review our predictions from last week and then pick the winners for this week? Jacko, I believe you were right in picking Canterbury, Otago, Northern in that order.
Yep, beautiful. I had Canterbury straight through to 9, then Otago playing Northern. So seeing it well.
You were well. I had Central, and they unfortunately lost. They really bombed out. I think they lost like 5 in a row to finish up, which is not great.
They were 5-0 to start as well, weren't they?
Well, they were top. They were top of the table, and then they ran into the buzzsaw that was Matt Bacon in Nelson. And then they just fell off the wagon. Then they ran into another buzzsaw that's Ben Lockrose.
Would you say that's the worst way to be bang average? Like, go on a run, and then like that's going to be the worst way to sort of bow out, is be sort of 5 in a row and then lose 4 and get 1 rained out.
It's almost how 2020 can go at times.
Oh, like, 100%.
When you play teams, like when you're playing the same team, it can be very hard to win a lot of games in a row. But when you're playing in like tournament, it's just like if you get hot, you can be hot for 4 or 5 games and sort of win a tournament. Or you can go the other way where you can just start losing, and all these close games where 2020 can be like they just all get away from you. So it's like not that uncommon that a team just goes hot and cold like that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, like Canterbury lost their first 3 games, and there were sort of mini panic stations, and now it's like you've won 6 of your last 7, and everything's fine in the world again. So
yeah, right at the right time.
Well, it's all momentum. This T20 stuff, like it just like what you get on a roll and you can't stop, and then things just go your way. Like you speak of like the Volts and like Bacon's Fife out of nowhere, like they were going to lose that game, and then Lockrose 50 out of nothing, they were going to lose that game, and then on the reverse you've got like Wellington. Like that game against Canterbury where Nathan Smith hits leg stump, and then the Canterbury needed 5 off 4 or something like that. Again, Nathan Smith hits leg stump, the bell doesn't come off, goes for 4 buys, game over, and just things like that just go. I don't know. Canterbury and Otago just seem to be riding this wave of momentum that's pretty hard to stop at the moment. I know the answer, but how do you see these 2 games playing out?
Yep. So I think Otago beat Northern, although Northern might just wheel out potentially all their Black Caps.
The Black Caps will be interesting, eh? That's a real wrinkle, eh?
Because there's a...
Who have they got,
though? Well, Kane.
Do you think Kane and Tim Southey play?
Yeah, Kane played last night, didn't he?
He played 50 overs today. Do you think they play a T20?
I don't know. Maybe they don't. Maybe they
just
maybe they do just sort of sit out and say, look, you guys have got yourself there. But then, fuck, if you lose a close one, do you go, well, maybe Kane should have played? Don't know. Depends on if the Black Caps come back, because I don't know if that tips it to Northern. Without Black Caps, I'll give it to Otago. They just seem to have found a little bit of a magic formula. They sent that tail ender in the dressing room up the top, who sort of always was pestering for a go to pinch hit, and he's going real well. Obviously, that's not how Gibson's got a shot at the top, but yeah.
This is every tail ender is now going to be pestering every dressing room, going, I need to be up top. Look what Gibson does. I just need the opportunity.
Yeah, I'm just haven't had my crack yet. So yeah, but in all seriousness, he's batting like unbelievably the last couple of weeks, and I think that'll just trickle through. They get to play at home, so yeah, I think the Volts will just tip up the Brave, just momentum, and then yeah, Canterbury will be too good in the final. That's another interesting one in terms of like Black Caps coming back, because sort of Canterbury could wheel out 5 or 6. So yeah, but I think regardless, Canterbury have been very strong, and they'll stay strong, and they'll win it all again.
Yeah, I think very valid on the if the Black Caps will play, because I know there's like a certain people that will be like, oh no, these are the teams that have got you all the way there. Don't call on the Black Caps now, but like this isn't under 5s. This is the top level. This is the top level of cricket, and you play the players who are available. So I'm hugely in favour of the Black Caps playing if they are available. Obviously, in that I'm still going to pick Otago either way. I think it's interesting with Otago because it's not like they're this unbelievable side that just wins these games comfortable. They almost get themselves into bad positions, and then they oddly someone sort of pulls it out all the time for them. You sort of touched on it before, Munter, with Lockrose and that, and like it's not like they comfortably win all these games and they're just and it's probably a bit unfair to say they're not a great side, because they obviously are. They've won enough games now where they're playing really well. It just seems even in these games that don't go right, they sort of find a way to win, which is a quality in itself. So, I mean, obviously Canterbury are going to be very hard in that final, especially at home, and just they're obviously the form team of the whole competition. But I'm not going to go against Otago, am I? So, yeah, Otago to tip up Northern, then go to Christchurch and tip up Canterbury.
Yeah, I'm going to be the same here. I think the Black Caps argument, I think, is interesting because I think a lot of people forget that Otago can bring in, obviously, Michael Rippon, Jacob Duffy, and Glenn Phillips.
Brendan McCullum.
But I think the Glenn Phillips addition, if he plays, because he's not in that test team. I don't know why he wouldn't play. He'd probably take the position of his brother, which is another story. But still, like, you add him with Foxcroft in that lineup, I think that plugs a lot of issues, which has been the Otago's middle order. And then you go with like their bowling attack, which has been sensational all year. I probably do need a little bit of humble pie with this Otago side. I've been a little hard on them. And I think the time, even though they got pumped today, but the couple of things I've been hard on is obviously they haven't played Chew, which they do. They have played him they played him today. Didn't work out. But that's all right. And I was like, why is Gibson batting at 7? Like, it's making a tail too long. I guess what's happened because of this is it's given Gibson freedom. It's given Lockrose freedom, and they've like really grown into players, which I think. So that's like credit to Otago, and I just think this is a Cinderella story. I think they're going to go all the way. Just think the stars are aligning. I know Canterbury on paper, I get it. They've got an awesome bowling attack. They're going to probably bring in Shipley, which is another good player. That's probably going to...
I mean, there's a chance they could bring in Shipley-ish, Daryl Mitchell, Tom Latham, Henry Nichols and Matt Henry.
Yeah, bring in Henry Nichols. Yeah, I would enjoy it. Yeah, do bring him in. Yeah, no, we want to see him play for whatever reason.
Isn't it going to be great if next week we're on the pod and Northern have just beat both teams?
Yeah.
To be fair, you've got 2 Otago guys, 2 Canterbury guys. Like, none of us are going to pick Northern, let's be honest.
Nah. So if you want to tip for the punt, probably get on the Brave.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the Brave.
I can never like Northern just quietly.
Not many people do, eh?
I don't know what it is. I've had my time, when your Flemings and that, when Fleming was at Wellington, where I enjoyed them. I liked Sinclair at Central growing up. I had my time with the Aces. Obviously, I'm a Volts fan. I never sort of got on board with Northern.
Do you remember when Saudi was like laying into Sinclair in that T20 game?
Yeah, that
was a good memory.
Good call memory. I got on board with Northern. It's when a young Saudi bursts on the scene.
A young Mitch Santner. Yeah, it's all good stuff. Fuck, I'll tell you what, if Santner turns up against the Volts, that's a match winner with ball and bat. That's niggly.
I know
he's on the test squad.
I know they've got the test coming up. Wouldn't it be fun if just everyone available played though?
Well, this is another argument. Like, how good would the Super Smash be if just all the Black Cats played the whole tournament?
I know he's sort of talked about it with how close it would be to Big Bash, but it would be an exceptionally good tournament with everyone available.
Even if you just made sure like the second half they were available.
Yeah.
If you had like a 3-week window where they play 2 games a week for the first 2 weeks, and then 1 game, and then the sort of finals happen. Like, that's probably a bit more realistic, but even then, you just get so much good cricket out of that.
Oh yeah, because I tell you what was pretty average for the Big Bash is I guess like the Test players leaving, like the timing of the final, like all the good players leaving. and basically gutting the heat. And obviously it was a good final in the end, but it's pretty disappointing to not have all your good players for your showpiece event.
Definitely. Like, the last thing you want is like it was a pretty good final. It was pretty cool that what happened, but basically to have your sort of 20 best cricketers watching it from hotel rooms, and that's sort of the only content you get out of your best players, it can't be great for the brand.
Right, we'll rattle through this team of the tournament, and then we'll get into the snack draft.
Yeah, mate, sounds good.
Righto, so I've got here, opening up, we've got Chad Bowes, 342 runs at 42 with a strike rate of 157, with Dane Cleaver, who's going to be our keeper, 156 runs at 39, strike rate of 123. Number 3 and our MVP of the tournament, Dean Foxcroft, 385 runs at 48, 9 wickets at 22. I mean, the minute he's available for the Caps, lock him in. Leo Carter for Canterbury, 268 runs at 53. 53 is quite a lot, eh? Well, that's hot. That's not nothing.
How old is he now? He's sort of been just
my age.
Yeah, he's been at it
for the listeners that don't know how old you are, Jacko. How old is he?
28.
We've got Jake Gibson. Who could, obviously he's an opener now, but he can do anything. 265 runs at 37 with a strike at 150. Josh Clarkson, 268 runs at 37 with a strike rate of 164. Our all-rounder for this team, Ben Lockrose from Otago, 100 runs at 100. That's right, an average of 100. with a strike rate of 192. And then, economy rate of 7s. What more do you want from an all-rounder?
And we know now he is a match winner. So you can't, you need match winners in these sides.
He's also the most confident person in New Zealand, by all accounts. He had a hat-trick ball for 6. He had his first ball for 6 in that first game against Canterbury.
He's already done coming onto the pod, just said 2 big times, can't do it. I'll be great next week, sorry, boys.
Yeah, we've been trying to get him on for a bit, but he's just sort of palming us off. He said you need a blue tick, and then he'll think about it. And then the bowlers. I mean, look, I left out the bowlers, and honestly, it could be an all Canterbury bowling attack, but I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I've got Mikey Ray, leading wicket taker, tied with Jaden Lennox, the spinner from Central. So those are our leading wicket takers, 16 apiece. And then we're going to do friend of the show, Nathan Smith. We're going to lock him in there. He's had a good season. He's tried his best for Wellington. 10 wickets at 19 with economy rate of 7. And look, I was looking up the bowling stats, and you had Zach. Is it Folkes? It's Folkes. Or is it Folkes? Yeah, Zach Folkes. 12 wickets at 13. Economy rate of 7. You got Willow Rourke. You've got Gus McKenzie. All those 3 were averaging 14. I'm going to go with Zach Folkes, but there's probably no wonder that Otago and Canterbury are near the top, I think.
Yeah, a lot of names from those 2 teams sort of filling out that squad, aren't there? So, like the list. Not a lot I'd change, to be fair. But yeah, it's good. It's been a good summer. Hopefully they condense it a bit next year. Feels like it's dragged a little bit. Sort of, it still just needs to be wrapped up before everyone goes back to work, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but
I don't like the midweek stuff, when they got midweek 4 trophy games. Just have all Super Smash stuff.
Yeah. It should be done by the time everyone's back to work, so people can go to these games. And if sort of elimination games are on a Wednesday or a Thursday at 11 a.m, no one can go to that, can they? So, be good to see it sort of get condensed a bit, but been a good tournament, and red and black all the way, hopefully.
I mean, we're talking about players here, but I think the schedule is actually probably the biggest work on, isn't it? If we're going to try and really grow the game and get the next generations in, let's get the games on at times people can really see them. And especially in our summer, we've had a ripping, well, I was going to say we've had a great summer. Auckland, they disagree. But yeah, we have had some great weather. So, if there's some 5 o'clock games, I feel like there's a real chance to grow the game. especially with this T20. You've got to sort of go all in on it, I think.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Those games could be a little later, eh? Like around that, like 4 o'clock would be a nice. Even if you don't have lights, like you're still like we could, I mean, we're playing club cricket at fucking 5:30. I'm sure we can start a game at like sort of 4 o'clock and finish at like 7:30.
Especially up north in the height of summer.
Yeah, definitely. Righto, should we do snack draft?
Yeah, sounds good.
Righto. Okay, we'll do follow-ups to start with. Before we get into that draft, we got a lot of good feedback from the Matty Bacon episode the other week. My favourite comment was probably from my old man, who couldn't actually fathom that we had him on, and actually thought it was Lugsy impersonating Bacon himself. So unrelated, we can announce Virat Kohli will join the show next week.
Well, we're in dangerous territory trying to do an Indian accent, no, mate.
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope, that one.
We've got a string of guests coming up because of that.
The draft last week was pick and mix, and what a draft that was. Listed with Hall of Famers. Unfortunately, with that, you're going to get snubs. Like, not everyone can make the starting 12. But we copped a bit of heat for the following going undrafted. Snakes was a big one. For Joe was apparently a big miss. I thought Lugsy, you had the best point on the Snakes. So do you want to take the floor on why Snakes was undrafted?
Well, I just don't think when you're bringing, we've got Worms in there, and Worms and Snakes sort of they go together. Unfortunately, I don't think there's room in a lot of these drafts for both of them. Obviously, I don't mind someone that loves a snake, but when sour worms are going, we've got a Pascal's, the Natural Confectionery, a wonderful brand here in New Zealand that they're calling their thing sour squirms. So, if they don't even know the difference, who are we to say the difference? I've combined them and so have we.
Yeah, that was the same. As soon as the worms got taken, I was like, yeah, snakes are gone. They sort of are gone from my head as even an option. So,
well, it's like if someone picks Coke, I'm not going to pick Pepsi, am I?
No.
I'm not going to pick the second version or something.
Or you like someone goes Coke, you're not going to go Coke no sugar.
Yeah, damn
yeah.
right.
Well, that's right. That's right. So Lugsy, you were the winner last week. Well, it was a 2-man tie, which we had to decide by tiebreaker. Bacon and Lugsy were tied at the top. I was third, and Jacko brought up the rear. TikTok gave Lugsy a little bit more love, so he came out on top. Crucial for like our brand, I think.
Yeah.
But Lugsy, did you want to say a few words on the victory, and then dive into our snack this week?
Yeah, obviously very, very good to get back on board the winning train, and obviously I think it obviously helped a touch. Me being here this week was gonna give me help a bit with who was going to win that tiebreaker. But yeah, obviously pick and mix, as you said. Just an absolute staple of growing up as a Kiwi. Always to the soupy for a wee pick and mix. And we've really gone another heavy hitter. Like we'll cop it obviously from some circles, because some good things are going to go undrafted here, but fairly hard to go past chocolate, and there's going to be some big chocolates getting selected here.
So it's not, just to confirm, we're not doing bars. It's all chocolate blocks.
I think bars are their own category.
Yeah.
So things like obviously the Kit Kat block, the Rolo block, still available, but not like your Kit Kat chunky bar will be off the list.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So with that, Jacko, you have the honours, the prestigious number one pick. You've been sitting on this one for a while.
Yeah, been on the clock for a couple of weeks. I wrote my first pick down as soon as it was sort of given out. And ahd, sort of that time, you got to change. But if anyone's seen the movie Draft Day with Kevin Costner, sort of got a wee note in my pocket, and it says creamy milk no matter what. So yeah, had to go Whittaker's creamy milk number one. I think it's probably like the best in terms of like chocolate. Dairy Milk's the best of the three, and just you can't beat a block of creamy milk. Like it's always getting nutted. It's the best of the best. So that'll go at one for me.
That's an old school pick, and it's you're not missing with that, are you?
No, definitely not. It's a blue chip talent, and it goes where it should.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'm going in a different direction. I'm going an up and coming talent. Probably like if you've got a LeBron that's been there, done that. I've got a Luka Doncic, up and coming. Just up and coming. The sky's the limit with this kid. I'm going Hazella. I had some tonight. It's got potential to be the next creamy milk, I think.
Yeah. I did and ah about that. I thought maybe the flash in the pan Hazella, but I thought creamy milk is just so good. But yeah, Hazella is right there.
Yeah, that's two huge sort of juggernauts gone there. I think you've got the best of both worlds there. You've got your Test cricket and your T20 right there. That's a couple of goodies off the board. And I think I'm going to get myself into a fair bit of trouble here because I sort of have obviously in my head my options, but I didn't sort of write anything down just thinking like, it's chocolate. Like there's just a million great options. But I might get myself into a bit of trouble here.
Interesting, because you got to pick twice too.
Yeah.
No, my first one, and this is very hard for me to do because growing up, I was such a Cadbury's Black Forest man.
Yeah.
So it's very hard for me to sort of go against it here and choose sort of the alternative from Whittaker's. But I tell you what, it's a Whittaker's clean sweep up top because I'm going to go berry and biscuit.
It's a good pick.
And then, it's tough. This is going to, it might be controversial. I'm going to, because there's some options on the board, isn't there? This is a loaded draft. But
this could easily go, you could go 6 rounds of this and get a lot of good stuff in.
I could. I mean, I'm sort of straight to the night and day for a chocky bar here. Post I'm that fired up to eat some chocolate and watch India Aussie after this pod.
You have to wait 3 days.
Yeah, I'll get some pilot. I'll be watching VVS bet for an hour tonight. I'm gonna go across the Cadbury's for the first time, and I'm gonna go marble. I think marble is sensational chocolate.
That's huge.
Yeah, I tend to go it a lot, and I've just got to stick with that, I guess. I'm going Cadbury's marble.
I tell you what, there was zero chance that marble was staying on the board after that round. I think if you didn't take it, and I didn't take it, we know that Jacko would take it. He is probably the biggest fan of marble going around.
Oh, fuck, it's good.
Yeah. That's a good one.
That's tough, eh? That's tough. It's thrown a real span in the works. This is a tough one for me because I felt like when we decided there was no bars, I felt like there was a personal attack at me and my Kit Kat crunchies. That cut me deep a little bit until today when I was driving home from over the Tata and stopped into the 9-day for a wee snack as you do, hot dog and chips.
28 minutes later.
Yeah, that was at 10:30, by the way. But then I had a wee nosy at the chocolate block aisle, and I saw Kit Kat and Milo put together, and I thought, could there be a better combo than Kit Kat and Milo? 2 staples of a New Zealand household combining. It's like we thought, like it'd be us and TGC collaborating. What more would you want? So I'm going to go Kit Kat Milo for me.
Nice. Yeah, that's huge pick. I will then, with my second pick, I'll get Caramilk.
Yeah, bugger.
Just absolutely huge on Caramilk. Could be one of the nicest things. It has put this country into like a frenzy a couple of times being released.
Forget that.
Yeah, I remember being at the self-checkout, and those baskets you could buy, like, your basket you go around the supermarket with, like, you're obviously not there for your full shop, but you're getting snacks.
Yeah.
A guy tried to check out with one of those full of Caramilk blocks. And the staff just had to turn him away, and he was genuinely like upset that he couldn't buy that much Caramilk at the time. So, yeah, I'll go Caramilk with my second pick. And then third pick, geez, it is tough, isn't it? The third pick, you sort of don't. Do you go rogue? Do you go for one of your favourites, or do you sort of round out? I'm going to go, and this is one of my all-time favourites, and it might not hit with the listeners, but Whittaker's Coconut Rough.
That is bold. I like it.
It's a bit out the gate, but it really is one of my favourite sort of chocolate. So yeah, I'll get that to round out my team.
I think it's important to have at least one option that's like from the heart. So I appreciate that. That's where I'm going to head as well. Another collaboration. For me, this is the chocolate that look, I'll be honest, I'll be up front here. I'm not the biggest chocolate person. It's not like if I'm getting a snack, I'm going to go pick and mix. I'm going to go a chip before I go the chocolate. But, when you get a good chocolate, So for me, this is that chocolate that brought me out of retirement. Cadbury's Boysenberry Ripple. Look, I don't know if that's going to hit with everyone, but for me, that's from the heart.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I'm a huge chocolate. One of the great things about, because in this time where everything's about $1 million, somehow chocolate's gone backwards, and you can always get a bar for 99 cents. So it's just, I think for me, it's just a staple of going to the soupy and picking up at least one chocolate bar, dog chocolate bar. I like the Boysenberry. Superb pick in my opinion. There's a few, obviously. I mean, I've said it once, I'll say it again. There's good options on the board. Can I just highlight something quickly? And I'm not sure if they're still there. But Pack and Save, and because I love a nut chocolate as well. I know a lot of people don't go like your fruit and nuts and stuff. But I actually love a nut and a chocolate. And for the last 3 weeks, Pack and Save have had these Cadbury's chocolate blocks, mixed roast nuts, a bit smaller block, which is actually quite good at times, for $1.29. And I mean, it's too cheap to pass up, but I'm having too many blocks far too often. So that's just a public service announcement for the Dunedin folk. There may still be some at your Pack and Save. To wind out my team, I'm the Caramilk's been taken, but the Whittaker's alternative hasn't. And I think it's close enough and good enough that I'm going to have to take it. It wasn't obviously, it never reached the peaks of Caramilk in this country, but it did get a few things going. So I'm going to go Blondie. Blondie from Whittaker's to round 8. Just gives a bit of balance to the team.
No, I don't mind that. Very, very good selection.
It'd be like taking Cadbury's Black Forest after Berry Biscuit went off the board, but...
Some may argue Blondie. Some may argue for Blondie. They'd be wrong, but they may argue for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people like Pepsi over Coke too, but
let's not go down there. I mean, the soft drink draft's going to be.
It is. Yeah.
I don't know how we're gonna rule that. Because I mean, whoever gets number one pick, if you just get Coke, is that how do you lose? How do you lose from there?
I'm not doing this draft until I'm number one pick. So.
But the thing is, you don't get to pick it, because you only pick it if you win. And then if you win, you're last pick. Yeah,
it's just going to be one that everyone refuses to sort of bite the bullet and pick, aren't they?
Definitely. Right, should we wrap it up there, team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Righty-ho. Righto, that's us for another week, team. Check out our Patreon, leave us a rating and review, and of course, since day one, up the vaults.
Up the vaults.
Come on, red and black.
Sorry, didn't hear you there, Jacko. Sorry, you're breaking
cut
up.
out again. Nah.